What is going on, you guys? I'm coming to you today with an Armada list using Ryan Kingston's Fleet Builder. I have had a lot of time to think about this, and this is a little experimental, a little bit crazy. So, if you watched my last tournament report, I went with the Tarkatans fleet, which was using a bunch of Architans with Tarkin instead of Vader. And the idea was we had a Cymoon, and we also, on that Cymoon, we had an intensify forward firepower, or intensify firepower, along with TRCs on the Architans, plus the token from Tarkins. All of this dice mitigation that ended up being overkill. I didn't really need all of it. I didn't need intensify firepower very much. I actually only used it on the Cymoon itself. So I decided to come up with a different take on this list. I took a little bit of feedback from some of the other guys at the tournament too, because there was some Raider ideas thrown around, and so I'm going to do a list that's not too heavy on the Architans, but I am going to go back to Vader. As much as I want to find a use for Tarkin, I just don't think he's there yet, but he can be fun. But Vader's more reliable, and Vader's going to have a lot more to do in this build. And also, he's cheaper than Tarkin. You know, I mean, granted, they're both crazy expensive, but Vader's going to get a lot of use in this build. And I'm gonna, so we're gonna start off with just a regular Architans, light cruiser. And one of the reasons, like, a lot of times I don't put any upgrades on my flagship if I'm flying small ships. The reason being is I try to make it a really tough choice for my opponent. Who do they want to go after? Do they want to try to blow up the ships that have the heavier firepower? For like the second Architans, I'm going to put enhanced armament on that one. So this is the bigger threat. I can lead with this ship. And so they're like, well, do I take that ship out, or do I take out Darth Vader? Just because of the fact that it's, you know, well, I'll still have this giant firepower ship coming in. So that's the idea. But I'm only going to go with 2 Architans today. Instead, I will have another ship flying with them, kind of in the line, but the position will change up a little bit, because we're going to go with a Gladiator 1 with Demolisher. Now, the funny thing about this guy is I'm not going to add anything else to him. Now, that might be a little strange. It's just really a points thing. You can modify this build a little bit to at least give him, assault protons or something like that. You can totally do that. I just don't know if it's really necessary because of the way that I'm kind of envisioning this build working. I don't think it'll really be as necessary, but it's totally an option. But I'm kind of going somewhat minimalist here. And the idea here is I'll fly these 2 Architans kind of side by side. I'll have Vader a little bit farther, you know, like an extra inch or so farther away from where the opponents are going to be. I'll have the enhanced armament one a little bit closer, and then the Gladiator will be like behind them, so that his front arc is going to be basically pointed into some of the same directions. So if somebody does come into the side arcs of the Architans, the Demolisher Gladiator will be able to hit them with red dice, and then after he moves, fly up alongside them with the black dice. And hopefully the Architans will have softened him up first. But we're not going to stop there. We are going to increase this up to 5 ships. So the first thing I'm going to add is I'm going to add a Raider 2. Raider 2s used to be pretty terrible, but they're going to serve so many purposes here. We're going to have some squadrons, but not too many. So the Raider 2s do have some nice anti-squadron armament, which is always great. But we're going to give them disposable capacitors, because you need that on Raiders now. You definitely do. And I'm also going to give gunnery teams to this ship, so as he's coming in, this ship can make best use of the disposable capacitors and attack twice out of the front arc, because we want to make we're only going to get one shot with the disposable, or one turn to use disposable capacitors, so let's maximize it by shooting twice. And now I'm going to give this first one overload pulse, in that if we're able to make this guy go first, we can potentially exhaust 2 ships tokens. And with Vader is really going to help guarantee that we get that blue crit. If we can manage that concentrate fire token as well, that will give us that extra die in case we just happen to have a colossal failure of dice. Overload pulse is going to be huge here for our first shot. especially, and that's one of the reasons I don't think the Gladiator with Demolisher is going to really need all that. And now the second version, I'm going to duplicate this here, but I'm going to change it out. It's not the second one. I don't want Overload Pulse on. The second one, I'm going to do Heavy Ion emplacements. These two are going to function very similar. They're going to be very, very similar. But depending on the ship I'm going up against, I may want one more so than the other. Maybe like a big Star Destroyer, I'll probably want to go ahead and trigger that Overload Pulse first, and then then start draining shields after the fact. Then and then make them really think about, do they want to lose their brace this early? I kind of want to open up with the Raiders and have the Raiders shoot first. Spending their disposable capacitors. If they die, then it's okay because I've at least done the damage I need to do with them. The only problem with this guy is that Heavy Ion emplacement, so I'm only going to get to trigger that once because I have to exhaust that card. So that's it's going to be very situational which Raider I do first. This one I'll want to put him in the lead if I know I'm going to have 2 shots out of the front arc. This guy, I'll have to, it is going to depend on the first roll whether or not I trigger Heavy Ions. But again, same thing, gunnery team and disposable capacitors for that. Let's see what else do we have here. We're going to add some squadrons, and I'm not going to do a crazy squadron now that, like, with only 353 points, I could add a 6th activation if I wanted to add a Gazanti and maybe just some TIE fighters. That's a possibility that would give you some deployment advantage, which would be a nice idea. But I am feeling like really bringing in some pain and punishment. So I'm going to bring in 2 decimators. 2 decimators are just going to be really, really nice. This brings up to 397, and this is a great place for you if you want to change things up. If you want to give that Gladiator a black die crit, you can totally do that. This is a great opportunity. You can just drop decimators for fire sprays and squeeze some more points in there, or decimators are some of the most expensive squadrons in the game. So if you want to change them up a little bit, you can do that. But to me, they're worth it because they're little ships. They've got rogues, they've got counter. They're hard for other squadrons to be able to deal with, and they've got 3 black dice against squadrons, so they can usually kill a TIE fighter in one shot, no problem. The reason I'm running 2 of these guys is I can split them up, send them 2 different ways after 2 different ships. A couple of squadrons are going to have to come in and to try to occupy these guys and to tie them up. The problem you'll run into is if you get, somebody with a scatter to try to tie them up, because they'll just scatter the black dice and not really take any damage. So like your Tycho or Shara Bay, will be able to deal with these guys without too much problem. So if your opponent's running a bunch of scatter elite squadrons, then you'll want to keep your decimators a little bit closer to your own ships and then run them for defense. If you're going up against a list that doesn't have many squadrons, then you can just use these guys as ships, and the opponents you'll eventually shred right through their squadrons. So these guys will make a nice defensive screen, and if your opponent does have those aces with the scatter, that's when you'll be able to team it up and force them to spend the scatters with both decimators attacking them at the same time, plus some anti-squadron fire from your regular ships. Those Raiders can do a good job with anti-squadron, and the Architons actually with their black dice, they're gonna do damage. 8 wings won't last very long. Named TIE fighters won't last very long against so much sustained fire that way. Let's go ahead and look at objectives. We've got 5 ships here, so I think I'm definitely going with opening salvo. That's kind of the standard, and that'll be a really good one for this one, especially with Vader giving us those guaranteed rerolls. It's going to help us with the Raiders. We don't necessarily have to roll black dice when we're attacking at long range. A lot of times you'll want to roll blue, but you roll your dice first and then see what you want to add. For our yellows, we don't have that many squadrons, so one of the things that I would like to do is, yellows aren't loading, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to go with Fleet Ambush because full fleet, there it is, Fleet Ambush. It's not loading right now, but Fleet Ambush is definitely the way to go if you don't have very many squadrons, because that's the problem with Fleet Ambush is Fleet Ambush says that squadrons deploy last. so you won't have somebody who has like 8 squadrons getting a tremendous deployment advantage on you. And also, there it is. And also, they're going to have their force basically split in half, and you'll be able to get some of those Raider shots off right away without, you'll be able to split their force in half. So divide and conquer. It's always a nice way to go. And if you do have somebody who has a whole bunch of squadrons and they put them right in your face, you're gonna deal with that, but you'll be able to have the decimators hopefully draw some of the, or help whittle down some of the bombers if possible. And pretty simple here. We're going to go Solar Corona. This is, I have been saying for a while, it's hard to beat Solar Corona for blues. There's very few times where I'll pick something other than this one lately. And I think they need some more blue and yellow objectives. The red one is one of the ones that I have the toughest time with certain builds trying to there's definitely a lot of variation in the red, but I feel like the yellow I only have maybe 2 or 3 that I choose, and for blue it's almost always Solar Corona. It's rare that I pick another one, but those are that is the build, guys. There is another round of the giveaway going on right now, so if you'd like to win an expansion of your choice in the form of a $20 Cool Stuff gift card, all you need to do to enter that is to go ahead and leave a comment on this or one of my other videos. I also have something else for you guys. If I mentioned a while back that I've been working on some stuff for Armada, so I'm going to give you a little preview of one of the cards that I've been working on since we're looking at Gladiators. I got another title for Gladiator here that I've been working on, and this one is called the Eager Hawk. The names are all pending right now, but after you deploy him, you can perform a speed 1 move, so he kind of can break free of the starting position. There's a lot of uses, especially with some of the scenarios or objectives that are going to have you deploying in the middle. For example, if somebody did fleet ambush against you, it could help you get out of there, and it's really tough to come up with Gladiator titles that you would even consider taking as opposed to Demolisher. But what if you wanted to run all Gladiators? There you go. That's just a little tease of some of the stuff that I've been working on for maybe a fan expansion. Oh, and they have the nunchucks in there as well. So just a little teaser for you guys. Hopefully I'll have that out here one of these days. You can take a look at the full project. But yes, so let me know what you guys think. If you don't forget to subscribe and leave a comment to enter the giveaway. And if you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up and let me know what you think, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.